and after a few seconds the camera will turn on. Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Since last time I reviewed a Dashcam, I had so much view and success, I decided to review another one, and today we have the RedTiger, the F7N model. So I'm going to install that in this car. It's a Mazda RX-8. Let's see how it goes, and let's see how this baby perform. It's right now. The box slide like so easy to open. The main camera right here, it looks very nice actually. Oh, I like when I just saw that. See that? That's a cold shoe system with this metal plate here. That means the camera can be removed from the car. It will not stay always in the car. You can remove it. There is a system here that allows me to remove the camera. That's very handy when I drive, for example, in San Francisco. A lot of cars got brought in and they steal those cameras. When they see those, they break the window. So up, remove the camera, and that will not attract the eyes of the thief. But here we go, camera, the main camera, the nice screen. Oh, it's actually very like 16:9 screen on the back of the camera. Button on the side, arrow up and down, and an M button here. And there is a power button here, and the slot for the micro SD card on the side here. And of course here, don't forget to remove, I'm going to do right now, the protective plastic for the lens. Alright, so in the bottom here there is some plastic. I don't know what's the use of those for now. I will have to check the user manual, like 2 plastic film. And user manual right there. User manual in English and Chinese, of course. This Chinese part, where's the English part? Here's the English part, here we go. And with nice illustration, I like that already. When it's illustrated like that, it allows you to understand better the user manual instead of having a small user manual that you can barely decipher, so that's good. Let's see this mysterious box of accessory, what we have inside. We do have, that's the main base that we stay stuck to the windshield. That's the quick disconnect that I was telling you earlier with your camera. Put the camera probably like so, up. It's connected, and then you remove it up like so, and that stays in the car. The camera goes in your pocket. Next, let's see, that's actually the bag with the rear camera here, and that's like tons of cable that can allow me to connect this rear camera with the front camera, and it has some 3M sticker, double-sided sticker here, and some screw, so that's great. More 3M double-sided sticker, I like when they give those. And here we do have the power cable, so it's a cigarette plug that allows you to have a USB port on the back, so it will not take the port for nothing on your cigarette plug. You can also plug something in the back here, and of course a bunch of cable here to reach where your camera will be, so that's great. And that's it for the boxes. All right, so here the plug, back camera, the windshield mounts, the camera itself. That's what's included with this set, the dash cam and all the included accessory. Now I'm going to install it in the car and see how this camera perform. Let's go. Okay, so before to install your dash cam, I always advise to test it outside of the car if possible, because if it don't work, then the problem is you start to install your camera, you put your wire everywhere, and then at the end the camera don't work, and then you have to undo everything. It's a lot of work for nothing. So first test the camera, be sure it works, and then install it. As for the menu, so to be able to see clearly, don't forget to remove this protective plastic from the screen. Alright, so for testing purposes, I'm just going to connect the rear camera connector is right there on top. And all the connector will be on top of your camera, because normally the cable are going straight up to your car cover, the car liner on the top. So the rear camera comes here on this port, and then the power will go on the other port. The micro USB power cable will go right here. Alright, I also connected the GPS module. That way I can set up the menu of the camera with everything connected, so I will not have any error. Once everything is connected, just power up the camera. And now it complains it does not have any SD card insert. Remember guys, this camera does not come with any micro SD card, so you have to use your own. Personally, I prefer to use those. I have those laying around already, the high endurance micro SD card from SanDisk. They are very good for dashcam and all the devices that work 24 hours. They less likely fail very quickly like some other basic micro SD card, so keep that in mind. A high endurance card, always the best to go for any dashcam. To insert the micro SD card, you have to put the main face, the face with all the marking, toward the front of the camera. So the face with the contact toward the back or toward the LCD screen, and then you put it like so. You press it until you feel the spring effect there, and you keep pushing it until it clicks in place, and that's it. A micro SD card is inserted. And of course, one of the first things to do when turning on the camera is to format your micro SD card. I'm sure when I turn on the camera right now, it's going to ask me to format it. Let's see. Here we go. Please format SD card. So I'm going to use the menu button here on the side, menu and arrow up and down, to do my selection. Bringing up the menu, resolution of the camera. Let's select it. To select, you press the menu button again. And to go back, you press the power button, which is here. Here you go back, here you select. Let's go resolution. Let's select the maximum resolution, which is 2160p in the front and 1080p in the back. Select that. Now next, pressing the arrow down or up will bring me to the next or previous menu. Audio, if I want the audio on, which I do. Date stamp, you can select the dates on or off the OSD on-screen display, on or off your video recording. So I leave it on. Now loop recording here. 1 minute, 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So I selected 1 minute. They are very easy to review that way. You don't have a long video to browse through to find your accident or your trouble. This is the sensor that detects an accident. Basically, how sensitive this sensor is when you hit something or when you pass over a bump. If it detects that something in your car, it will record automatically an emergency video. So here I can select it. Usually I put it to off, because all the time I notice that I pass over a bump, it will just record emergency video, so just leave it off for now. Fatigue driving system, that's a new gadget I never saw before. You can set it up to 1 hour, 2 hours or 3 hours. I guess it's going to warn you after you reach one of these settings that you drive for too long and you need to take a rest. So that could be a useful function for some of you. For myself, I leave it at off. I'm not driving that much time. I'm just doing commuting, so it's not a big deal. Now here you have the speed. So you can have a speed stamp. That means on your video, you will have a record at the speed you were driving, which means if the police stop you and give you a ticket, you have a proof here that the speed you were actually driving, it's below the speed that the cops say you were driving, for example. So I find this function very useful, and I find a few YouTubers already that talk about this function that should be on, and you have a good evidence right there of the speed you were driving. Now GPS stamp, on or off, it's if you want a location on the map to be recorded so you can see in real time after when you review your data to see where you were when you had the accident, for instance. So I'll leave that at on. Next in the menu, speed unit. Depends in which country you live, you may want to select miles or kilometer. Next, it's GPS info. So here we go, it's just a calibration of the GPS module. Give you an idea if your module works correctly. Right now I'm indoors, so I doubt that I'm going to get any GPS signal, but this is good to know that your GPS sensor is working correctly. App, that's to download the app. So I give you a QR code to download the application you can use on your phone to connect to this camera. So that's very useful. Right there. Wi-Fi, it's to turn your Wi-Fi on or off. I leave it off for now. I don't need to connect the camera to any Wi-Fi. Next, language. Select English for me. Time format, if you need 24 hours or 12 hours, the PM AM system. I like the 24 hours, so I select that. Next, that's you can set up the date of the day and the time. And here you have the time zone setting. I'm in California, so here we go. You can set your time zone right there. Next menu, frequency. in the US 60 Hz, that's good, but you can change if you need. Now when you click the tone, if you like the beep 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 or not, well, I like it because I know with this sound that my input have been correctly accepted. Screen, now you can decide how long your screen turn on, or if it turn off after a certain period of time. For example, now it's off, that means the screen always stays on. But if you want to save the screen, maybe with the sun or the heat of the car, it may damage the screen after a while if it stays on. So you can select 10 seconds, 30 seconds or 2 minutes. Let's select 2 minutes. There should be plenty time to see the information before I start a serious drive. Parking, there is a kit to install for parking mode, so I'm not going to mess up with that. Format the macro SD, that's where the setting is. I'm going to format it. There we go, it's quickly formatted and good to go now. Here, if you want to go back to default setting, you can do that right there. And here, of course, the version of the firmware. I believe that using the phone application will allow you to update the firmware to the newest one, in case if you need, or in case if they need to fix some malfunction with this camera. All right, now the camera is recording automatically after all the setting and after the macro SD card was formatted. So it tells you here with the blinking light and here with the blinking light on the side that it's working, it's recording, the red blinking light. Now we do have the time here, the date here, the formats, so 2160p on the front and 1080 in the back. And that's pretty much the information we have right there on the screen. Now, once the camera is running, each press on the power button will change the display on the screen. So right now I have the back camera on the top left corner of my screen and the main camera on the main screen. If I press once, I shut off the screen, then I press again once, come back to normal. Now I press once, then I just have the front camera, and then I press again, and now I just have the back camera, the rear camera. Press again, and it's come back to this split screen. Now while recording, if you want to stop the recording while the camera is on, or to start it, if you don't see the recording working, you press the down arrow here. Down arrow, we stop the recording, that's it. Now the camera is not recording anymore. You press again the down arrow and your camera will start to record again. While the camera is running, if you press the menu button, it will display the icon to let you know what kind of setting you have set up. And after a few seconds, they just disappear. There you go. Pressing and holding the power button will just shut off the camera altogether. The camera will also turn on automatically when you turn on the engine of the car, if it's powered by a plug, a cigarette plug that supports this functionality. Some cigarette plug in cars, they are always power. That means they always have 12 volts coming to them, no matter if you turn the ignition on or off. So you may want to avoid to plug this camera on one of those plugs that have constantly 12 volts, otherwise your camera will always work and then you will have to turn on and off your camera manually. All right, the camera is all tested, works perfectly. Now ready to install in the car. First, it's always a good thing to check all the parts and be sure you have all the parts that you need to install the camera in the car. So rear camera, cable, 3M patch if any, and of course the main camera. Here we go. And then I have to find a spot, a nice spot to install the camera. So before to stick it permanently, what I recommend to do is turning on the camera and then with the screen on to locate where is the best spot to install this camera on the car. And then, because remember, once you stick this 3M patch, that's it, you cannot remove it easily. So to achieve that, of course, I need to plug the camera in the car cigarette plug. Here we go. Now it's definitely stuck there at the final placement. I'm just holding for 2 seconds at least the 3M tape in place to have the best chance to stick to the windshield. Now I'm going to check the alignment of the camera. Once it's good, I can tilt it up or down, and once it's good, I can screw the final screw right there on the top next to the GPS module right here. And that's it, the front camera is now in place. Once the front camera is installed, now comes the tricky part, install the rear camera. I always recommend to do that before to put all the cable in place, you want to be sure to install the rear camera correctly right there before to go further. So remove the camera from the base, from the GPS base, so that you can have a good view of the screen. And now go in the back with the camera and then mount the rear camera. That way you can use the front camera like so to help you to pinpoint where you are going to put your rear camera. Because remember, once the 3M tape is glued to the window, that's it. You cannot move it easily. So here we go, connecting now the rear camera on the top of the front camera, like so. And now I'm going to turn on the camera by turning on the ignition key of the car. The camera will turn on and restart recording immediately, as it should be. All right, now I have the rear camera on the screen right there on the top left corner, and now I can go in the back with that and aim my camera. Also, you don't need to record all that, so you can press the down arrow key here to stop recording. That way you don't flog up your micro SD card with just crap while installing your camera in the car. Something also that could help you to make your life easier, it's to install the 3M sticker right away on the base of the camera. That way you will be ready to stick it on the rear window. In case if you need to install this camera on the plastic surface instead of the rear window, they also give you a bag with some small screw to do so. The rear camera also have notches, so once you install it, you will be able to move it up and down like so, using some notches, plastic notches, to tilt it at an angle. And again, once you are happy with the position, press and hold for at least 10 seconds for the 3M tape to stick correctly. Once you install your rear camera, now the annoying part starts. I will have to hide all the wire around the car, corner and under the plastic and all this stuff. But before to begin messing up with cable, be sure you have two important items. First of all, this plastic tool that will allow you to hide easily the cable under the plastic cover of the car. It is not included with this dash cam, so you will have to get that separately. Fortunately, I always have one in my toolbox. And then you need one of those 3M cable management hooks to help you to manage your cable, especially when it starts to go under the dashboard. All right, let's go with both cables plugged into the main camera, the rear camera and the power. I'm going to put back this camera in its place, and then I will have a better idea where to hide those cables up in the car plastic element. Like so, and now the cables are going to go straight up here. That's when this tool comes handy. Now here, this is the split. What I call the split, it's one cable should go here and start to go back. It's the rear camera cable, and then the other cable, the front camera cable, should go nicely down under this rubber all the way to the cigarette plug here. And now I'm like, oh, which cable is which? I don't know. So one way to find out is just to fish the end of the cable. Now I know this is my rear camera, and this is going to, yeah, the cigarette plug. So this is the rear camera cable. So let's go for it. Again, the useful tool. And slowly bringing the cable in the back like so. It takes patience to install this camera, unless you want a big bundle of cable right in front of you on your legs or in the bottom of the passenger seat. All right, once the rear camera cable is out of the way, I'm going to concentrate on the front camera cable now. And now I'm at the step where those little guys the little 3M hooks are going to be handy. I'm going to put them right there to support this loose cable under the dashboard. Et voila! Everything is installed now. The front camera is installed, ready to go. It's correctly oriented, and then the back camera as well, ready to go and correctly oriented, and all the cables are hidden. Now I cannot see anything. I can just turn on the ignition and the camera will turn on. Here we go, and as soon as it turns on, it starts recording. So everything is set up, good to go. Never drive without a dash cam, that's a good advice. So many crazy drivers out there, and you want to have a proof when something happens, and that's your most important tool in the car. Excellent, new dashcam installed, everything is good to go. Remember guys, don't drive without one, it's very useful. Okay, thanks again for watching, and I hope this video has been useful for you. See you next time, bye bye.